we're here with Heber and Jenna, and you have 7 kids?
Yep.
Big
You're on the way to 7 kids, right?
Wow.
No? How many kids are you planning on doing?
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
2 right now.
2, and you want...
I'm happy with 2, but happy wife, happy life. If she wants 7, then
I mean, 2 boys. There's no girls, so that's the.
That's true.
That's
Good luck with that one.
But if you have another kid, I can guarantee you it's going to be a boy.
yeah.
No, don't say that.
I'm
Got
sorry,
too much
I trust
testosterone,
you.
babe.
I mean, look at this hair and this beard. There's no way.
It's too much man in me.
There are a lot of boys in his family, like the Cannon family.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
He
I
has
come with
4 brothers.
5 boys and 1 sister in my family.
I mean, I don't think there's any link, but that always makes you feel a little like...
Apprehensive
She's
about
got
getting...
lots
she's got 4 sisters or 3 sisters. So,
Oh, so there's also that.
Yeah.
Evened
So-
out.
so we even it out, sort of.
And then what are your boys' names and how old are they?
Maverick is 4, and Finley's 2.5.
And which one do you like more than the other? No, just kidding. And so is Maverick, are they both in school right now?
Yep, they're in preschool.
Okay. And they're both in the same preschool?
Yes,
Oh.
it's awesome.
You can have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old?
So there's like
Well, they're
different
probably-
classrooms.
Yeah, just same as Tara.
So Finley's like in the toddler room, and
Ah.
Maverick's in the pre-K room. They have
Gotcha.
like 3 different rooms. So
Gotcha. Oh, and we should probably say what you guys do for work, because that's kind of...
Well, yeah, just like how you
Yeah.
would not even, it doesn't even have to be for work. Like if you were in a room full of kids and you were introducing yourself, how would you introduce yourself? Like, hi, I'm Taz, and I help people get more fit.
oh, I'd probably just say I'm Maverick's mom.
There we go.
It's like,
You identify
know
as
my
Maverick's
So
mom.
you just told us who the favorite was because you forgot to say I'm Maverick.
well,
And-
okay, Maverick's the friendly one that would like meet all the other children, so all the
Okay.
kids would know Maverick. Finley would just be, well, I'd probably be holding him, and they would have no idea who he was.
Fair enough. And
I
then what
would
do you
say I make movies for CrossFit, and I'm Maverick and Finley's dad.
make movies for CrossFit. Do the kids ever come in and try to help you edit stuff? Or do they just watch the end product and love it?
They watch a little bit of the end products, and then usually like 3 minutes into a little, like I'll be like, "Hey, you guys want to watch this thing I made?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then like 3 minutes in, they're like, "Dinosaurs." I'm like, "There's no dinosaurs in my movie, guys." And then we have to put on like the trailer for Jurassic World or something.
Yeah. I find that everything that I get super pumped on, like it's really rare that they'll also get pumped on it. Like,
Well, especially with Oaks.
like with my first boy, like I'm fired up on blacksmithing and making knives and stuff right now. And all of his friends, when they come over, they're like, "Yeah, I want to make something." And they go up back and they hammer on the anvil with me, and he refuses refuses to heat
Same
up
with
metal.
surfing as well.
Same with surfing. Like I'm fired up on surfing.
But he
It's
actually
like-
likes to surf, but I
Yep.
think it's like in
He-
spite of it.
yeah, he like
That's funny.
attempts to not do it because I'm into it. You know,
He wants
like
to like figure out his own thing.
Yeah.
How frustrating is that though? Where you're
It's-
like you tried to show him, you told me you tried to show him Raiders of the Lost Ark, and how far did you guys make it in?
we made it past the scene where the ball rolls down. So like, you know,
The
the
opening
first scene. And he goes to the school and then they're like, "Why does it say I love you on the girl's eyelids?" And I'm like, "Because they all love him." And then that was it. They were like, "I don't want to watch this anymore."
Too much love, not enough fighting.
So what about you guys? So they watch some of your movies, and are they pumped about CrossFit? Like, are they always around you guys when you're working out, or like what's your exposure to CrossFit with them?
For me, they're not there as much. They're there a lot with Jenna because she'll come up and work out at the gym, and
Yeah.
I'll like basically when she's working out, I'll drag a sled around the office and they'll scooter around me while we're going.
Right.
And sometimes they'll ride on the sled, and then sometimes they'll just play on the ropes and stuff. But they're not.
Or
like,
the other day, they
engaging in
wanted to
fitness.
drag the sled. So like Finley had it around his little waist, trying to drag weights. Of course, he couldn't walk at all. So, but it was adorable.
Cool.
And then something that I'm curious about with you guys, you introduced your kids to movies and TV, and you even said when we started, like, you're not afraid of technology really young. Like, what was the age that you watched the first movie? I think you took them to the theater. Like, Maverick was in the theaters at like 1.
No, even before that. So
3 months, like we took him all the time.
yeah, but
newborn.
the type
He
of
wasn't
movies we
watching
took them
stuff.
to
Right.
was
so
very different.
But what was the thought process behind that? Because you're like, we've got you said a couple month old, and you're like, put him in front of a giant screen.
Well, so
Well, they sleep the whole time.
yeah, so like we went to Planet of the Apes. I think his first movie was Edge of Tomorrow, and he just slept the whole movie.
Seems about right.
And it was like basically I just have a love for the cinema, so I love going to the theater, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to have to like, just because I've had a kid, I don't want to not do the things I love. So we brought him with us to like a couple of movies while he was growing up, and he would just kind of sleep through them. Like we would take him to the 3D version of Guardians of the Galaxy when he was 5 months old, but we didn't get him glasses. He just slept and looked at the screen every now and then.
Right.
But as he got older, like we watched the Lego movie every morning when he would wake up.
He
would
trained him to watch
trained
movies.
him
This
to
was his plan.
So we would go downstairs and I would feed him packets of food while we watched the Lego movie from the beginning, and slowly we would make it 10 minutes and then 12 minutes and then 30 minutes. And
How
now
old was he?
He was like 6 months. So for like almost an entire year, we watched the Lego movie almost every day because I absolutely love that movie. And now Maverick will sit through movies, but Finley won't because he's like,
Yeah, we didn't do that
we
with
haven't
Finn.
trained
We didn't
Finn.
put the
Trained
same
him
yet. Yeah.
effort in.
Well, does he like the Lego movie now?
that's the thing is like, now we put it on and he doesn't watch it. So I've put that movie on hold. I don't want you to watch that until you're going to appreciate it again. So we've put it on, like we've hidden it on the list of movies, and they'll watch like PJ Masks and kind of dumb Netflix TV series or whatever.
So they're used to the screen. Like when do they, because they're so used to it, do they ask for it a lot, or are they like kind of like numb to it? Like what's the, because our kids aren't, like they get TV on the weekends, so, and they really like TV. The little one now, like he's just kind of realized like, oh, we watch a little bit of TV on the weekend, so like almost daily be like TV, you know, like how
they would sit and watch 12 movies with you straight.
Like they have a,
but they don't get movies.
Yeah.
right.
So now it's one of those things where like, especially my older one so the second one wasn't that into
He
movies.
wasn't into it.
And then the first one was like, you walk him by a screen as a baby, and he was like,
staring.
Yeah, what
head
is
just,
this?
and it's like, it could be a screen with nothing going on it. His
Yeah.
brain is trained for that, which
Yeah.
is weird. Like, because we were of the other side of it, where we're like, he's not getting anything. Just with our belief structure around it and what we've seen, it was like, it distracts and it stimulates in a way that you can't stimulate outside of a screen, right? So it's funny because you're having the opposite thing. So I think her question, which I cut off, I apologize.
That's okay.
Was do you find now that your kids, when a screen goes on, do they like go to the screen, or do they just like, it's something that
Are
happens
they
in the
dependent
background?
on it, or they not really?
It depends on what's on. So, like, we'll go to people's houses and their kids will be like glued to the screen watching it, and our kids are off playing. But if we're at our house and then something is on that they really want to watch, or they're bored with their toys, then they'll
Right.
watch. So it just kind of depends.
But I'm actually surprised at how little, like, they're not actively engaging trying to watch shows all the time.
Right.
Like, it's not like a constant battle of
No.
turning
They're not
on the
addicted
screen.
to it.
No, like we were watching Star Wars yesterday, and 40 minutes in, Finley wanted to turn it off and play a game, all of us together. Like, he
Right.
wanted to engage in a physical manner somewhere outside of the screen. So,
Yeah, that's really.
so I got to train him better, I guess.
Yeah, obviously. And your fascination with it is like, you really enjoy cinema.
Yeah.
And do you as well?
Yeah.
And so like
I
your
mean,
idea,
not to his extent.
right?
He's a whole nother
I mean,
level.
his entire life is centered
Yes,
around
yes.
it, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that.
Because
you
I
know,
like going to the movies and watching stuff, like watching shows at night with him. But otherwise, I hate the TV.
Right.
I can't stand to have
It sounds
on.
like you're not just-
I don't want the
Sorry.
TV on.
Sorry, carry on.
No, that was the end.
It sounds like you're not just putting the TV on to distract them. Like you want to sit there and watch it with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an activity to do
Yeah.
together. It's like a family thing.
Family thing.
That's
yeah.
interesting. That's just a whole different mindset around it. Because I know people who like, they'll go out to eat and it's like, here's your TV, and
Oh,
it's
I
like,
know, yeah.
and you're like, whoa, you like that.
Which is fine sometimes.
Sure, but at the same time, like when you look at the studies on that, it's talking about like a kid never gets to taste the food that they're doing.
Right, they're
And
not taking in the surroundings.
They don't understand how to eat and chew and do all these other kinds of things because all they're doing is looking at a screen.
Well, here's a question: is it the same as like taking a book?
I always wonder that too, because I will sit. I love just like sitting and reading when things are going on around me,
Right.
and I like zone out from everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But-
essentially it is, right? I mean, it's not a screen, but you're not if you're reading
But
a
you're
book
in
or a
your own.
newspaper, you're not engaging in the world around you.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, if your issue with it is then like, are you engaged with the world around you versus are you like developing psychologically? Because when they did the studies where they had kids read versus they had kids watch a screen, the kids never learned anything from the screen, even though it was
That's right.
educational.
Right. I remember
So even though it was educational and they were doing the exact same process, but it was being taught to them by a person versus being taught to them by a screen, the kids retained no information being taught by the screen, and retained a whole bunch when it was read to them by a person who was in the room. And it was, and so they went and retested them on the stuff, and it was like this process over 6 weeks.
It was really clear.
It was on the. Did you ever see that show?
Wasn't it Life?
Birth?
The
beginning of life. It was a Netflix documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
Sounds
But like,
interesting.
it was on the third episode of that. But it was talking about the difference. It's like it's great. It's like use the screen as a tool. Like I think.
So you guys learned that from a screen.
We learned that. True, but we also have a developed brain, right? So we have a brain that exists that already has shape, and this is like. But yeah, no.
Pat is like addicted to screens.
Totally.
He since the day I met, like he cannot go a day without being on his computer or.
Well, I can.
You can, but
It's a male thing.
I just
Heber
don't.
is like that too.
Yeah.
Like a spare second.
Yeah.
My phone. I'm like, put it away.
I'm not the same way. Like I don't have to have the screen on at night or look at my computer or.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe.
But so when you guys go out to eat, do you bring a screen with you?
I mean,
It depends on like.
Do you go out to eat?
We go out to eat. We go out to eat pretty frequently, and I think it varies. We don't go with the intention of using a screen,
Right.
and most of the time we don't. But if it becomes like a meltdown thing, and it's
no one's enjoying themselves.
yes, then we'll put on a screen and let them
Yeah.
kind of entertain themselves for a bit.
That's pretty standard, normal parenting. You know.
And so have you got them into video games yet?
No, I've always just assumed that they just aren't capable of playing, but that's just because the games that we have are all kind of high level
Very
things. But
advanced,
I'm
yeah.
seeing your new Super Nintendo over there, and I'm super jealous.
Get
So.
that,
So-
make it happen.
Yes.
Well, there's also like the games my kids love are. I'm gonna go meet him in a sec. The games my kids love like on the phone and stuff.
We have very simple games on there, but we haven't we probably could buy a couple games that they would really like on the phone, but we
Yeah.
haven't invested anything on that.
Have you seen the spelling one?
No, I bet there's probably a ton of great educational games that we just haven't even looked at yet.
They're good, and like there's one that's like, what's it called? It's like Wordsmith or something like that. But
Yeah,
like
so
as he goes through it, like it'll spell out a word and it'll say what the word is, and then it'll jumble up the letters, and then you have to grab the letter and pull it onto the one that matches it, and as you touch it, it says the sound of it. But it says it like really silly, so it'll be
Maverick
like
would like that.
yeah, he'll love it. Like it'll say like T, it'll be like ta 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 ta, and like you hold it and then like the little letter dances, then you drop it on the thing. So
Wordsmith?
I'll look it up for you. It's not Wordsmith. I forget what it is, but it's
Okay.
like ABCs of something or other. But I really like it.
Yeah.
And the kids love it, and it's really silly. And then it says what the word is after. Then it uses it in a sentence. And then it does a little video that shows these monsters playing out whatever happens, and then it's good. But I think that's my intro. I was a gamer a lot growing up, but I was less FPS, and I was more like an RPG gamer.
Yeah.
So I just played through Final Fantasy Tactics again on my iPad, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like 70 hours deep. Like I'm traveling through New Zealand as we're there for 3 weeks, and I'm sitting there on my iPad at night every night for like 6 hours. Just like, what time do you go to bed? 2 a.m. Leave me alone. Like, because these days I can't like sit down and play because the kids will be all over me.
Yeah.
And they'll want to play the whole thing with me. And we try to get them outside as much as possible. We're like in the opposite boat of you. Like, I think because I don't want them to engage in that unless it's like a specific time. So they really want to engage in that.
Well, that's kind of how we do it. Like I don't like we're not sitting in front of the TV all the time.
No.
Like the Lego Movie example with Maverick was probably the most extreme we've ever gone.
I think that's fantastic. But it's hilarious.
But
it's a great movie.
It's a phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal
top 5,
movie.
hands down. But most of the time, if I'm engaging with, like, if I'm with the kids, I'm trying to drag them out of the house to go do something. Like I'm trying to go paddleboarding. I'm trying to get to the beach. Like I want to get out and play with them.
Right.
And that's kind of where, as a parent, I feel like I am able to do a lot with them.
Right.
And Jenna's really good with like creative, artistic little games at the table
Yeah,
in
we
the
do
house.
projects. That's what the boys and I do.
So you
Project
complement each
time.
other pretty well.
No.
That's really cool.
And do
Works
you,
out.
other than being Maverick's mom, do you work?
Okay, Maverick and Finley's mom. I do. I mean, not really right now. I do graphic design. That's what
Okay.
I'm like know how to do, but not currently. so much.
Do you miss doing stuff like that, or you're happy
Yeah, I'm
with
gonna
it?
start doing more stuff now that they're in preschool. Like I want to start an Etsy shop, so I want to design printables for birthday parties.
Oh,
and
cool.
Baby showers, stuff like that, like invitations and decorations.
What's your theme? Like, what kind of stuff do you like to draw? Like,
right now I'm really into doing calligraphy, so I'm liking
cool.
to write quotes and calligraphy and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's
Awesome.
what I like to do.
Do you mind if we talk about you guys' faith a bit?
No, no, yeah.
So you guys are Mormon.
Yep.
And you were born and raised Mormon, or so whole life been
Yeah.
Mormon, and you're originally from Utah.
Yep.
And so you're now in Santa Cruz here.
Yep.
Not quite the same number of Mormons as
yeah, is there
Utah.
a community here?
Yeah.
There's a really good community.
Is
yeah.
there? And then so what does that entail with the boys? Like when do you start teaching them all that about your guys' faith? Do they come to church with you every Sunday, or is it like there's a daily routine to get them understanding the faith? Like what is that?
So we have family prayers for like meals and at night every day. We've had that since they were born. And then they come to church with us, and there's an awesome program in the Mormon church for, I'm just pounding on this and making noise.
It's okay.
So we go to church, we have like mass, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, just the general service.
General service. And then we all like separate into age groups, and the kids get to go off into like nursery for the little kids, or they go into primary, and then they're taught lessons in that, and the adults go to their own classes. So it's pretty nice because we get a break from them on Sunday.
Sunday break day.
Yeah.
Nice. And
But
then
they have fun because they're with a bunch of other kids
Right.
their age, and they love it.
And
They
then
do
the groups that
activities.
you're in is like a discussion group with other adults, or is it like, so that's after the mass?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, like
It's like
having a community that like-minded people
Yeah.
that you can just talk about stuff with.
It's cool because like we moved here, and then we immediately knew a bunch of people because we had all the CrossFit people that we knew, and
Right.
then all the people from our church. So it was like we already had a community of
Yeah.
tons of people.
And is there like other religions, is there like different denominations of Mormons, or is it just like it's just Mormons and they all believe the exact same thing?
There are certainly some breakoffs from the LDS church. So like if there's a polygamist now, they're probably part of the FLDS or some other sanction that is broken off from the Mormon church. But generally, if you meet a Mormon or someone from the Latter-day Saints, that's kind of the name we go by, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you meet someone that's in that church, they're all basically the same.
Right.
Not basically, they are the same. So if
Yeah.
I go from the church I went to in Salt Lake is basically probably teaching the same lessons that I'm learning here.
Yeah, it's the same
on Sunday.
lessons.
Like every day, every week, the lessons are the same around the world.
Gotcha. And then there's just like anything, some interesting subdivisions that, like the ones you were just talking about. With
Yeah,
the
there are
polygamy
fractions,
and
but they don't meet at the same buildings.
Right.
Like they've gone off and created their own thing. But they
Right.
might read the same scriptures. They
just might have a.
might even claim to be Mormon, but they're theoretically not.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And how do you think it like shapes how you parent?
I think it has to.
And like, can you give me an example, or like what way, or because we're like we have no.
Well, there's.
I don't
mean,
want to say
it's-
with no faith because it sounds like we're
yeah. I
Not
mean,
like an
it's-
organized religion.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know much about Mormonism at all. I don't.
No. What is there? I'm sure there's a scripture that talks about how to raise a kid, or like talks about how to treat a child, or what is the deal with that?
I think it depends. I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. I think there has to be things that are different based upon just being generally raised that way. But I don't want to say that like we're teaching things different than what you guys are teaching. Like you guys are teaching your kids to love everybody else. And that's basically probably the most general principle and the most important principle taught in any church is to be nice to your fellow man.
Right.
So that's like
It's pretty synonymous across all religions.
all religions
Yeah.
and people. Like
Yeah,
unless you're a good
humans.
person. Like,
Right. Exactly.
If you go through the world as a dickhead, you'll get everything you want. Oh wait, no, not dickhead. Love everyone.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, as a like side note, did you hear Oaks yesterday at the swimming pool?
No.
He called those floating mats that don't really float and you lie on them and they kind of sink, like the carpet. They're called like the magic carpets or something.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
pretty much a yoga mat.
Yeah, like a
yoga
yoga
mat.
mat.
Think of
Yeah.
a yoga
Yeah.
mat,
He lay on it and he goes, "Mum, this mat's a dick." I was like, "What'd you say now?" And like, so everyone's sitting around watching their kids and like Oaks is just like playing. I'm like, "This mat's a dick. It's not doing what I want it to do." And I was like, "I think you're using that word out of context."
I mean, that kind of works.
I was like, well, I I see.
Inanimate objects can be dickheads.
Anyway, as you were. So yeah, teaching everyone not to be dickheads.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it says that thou shalt not be dickhead.
Yeah. Probably in Matthew.
It's
know?
Matthew. But so is there anything specific that's in there though that falls outside what would be normally like, hey, just teach your kid to love everybody and be nice? Is there things that the kids have to grow up with
I think I would need someone to like look at the way we do things and be like, okay,
how it
that's
would be.
interesting and weird. Because I just, from being so embedded in it,
right?
and like I have lots of friends that aren't LDS that raise kids, and I don't see too much of a crazy difference from what
Right.
we're taught versus other people. Like the main important thing from the LDS church is family. Like that's the basis of where all your education and learning and developing as a human being comes from. And I wouldn't say that we do that better than anybody else. We don't do a great job of this, and we probably have to now that they're becoming of an age where they'll remember it, is every Monday night in the LDS church, all activities from the church are canceled. There's nothing, you're never allowed to like schedule something on Monday night because Mondays are supposed to be what's called family home evening. So every Monday night growing up, me and my family would get together and have like an hour set apart where we were going to do a family activity, and it would start with like a prayer or scripture, and then we might go play baseball, we might go do something else, but it was that time set apart for just the family. And ours tended to be an hour or longer. When we do it with the kids, it's like 15 minutes now because they're just not at an age where
Right.
we can engage for 4 hours with one small activity. But like we went with some friends from the church to the boardwalk on a Monday night a couple months
Cool.
ago, and that was kind of our family home evening with the boys. So that's one thing. And then the other thing like we did growing up was every morning before school we would wake up at 6 to 6:30 and we would have 30 minutes of scripture study as a family. I slept through a lot of it, if I'm being honest, but it was something that taught me to like get up, be engaged in the morning, and then go to school.
Yeah. I
That's
love
cool.
I think the family stuff is kind of unique to the Mormon church in the sense that when I see people who come from that background, they tend to be really family and like even outside of immediate family, but like church oriented, like people who of similar faith, like they're really, really engaged in they have the larger families at times, but they also just seem to be really family focused. And I think that having that be a mandatory thing, I didn't realize it was a mandatory thing.
Well, it's not
mandatory, but
it's like
written as something to do.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very encouraged.
It's
yeah.
very encouraged. I think it's fantastic. Like
So it seems slightly different from Christianity. Not that family's not important in like, other religion, but that seems like something that's a bit different.
yeah, it seems like it's written in there as like spend this.
It's like an additional activity.
Yeah,
Right.
which they probably on hindsight may have put in had they had the ability to. But no, I like that. That's wonderful. I think it is something that is missed often in today's day and age is the focused family time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think some families did that growing up, where it's like every night we come together and have dinner.
Yeah.
And other families where it was like, just get your meal when you want. And in the age of TV dinners, it was like, let's just eat in front of the TV and completely not engage at all. And there was a lot of that missing. Seems that didn't really touch the people of your faith quite the same way.
Yeah.
Because it was in there.
I'm sure
might
there's
have
people
been
that...
because of that they initiated this whole family home evening thing. Maybe it was like because people were starting to do their
Right.
own.
Drift away.
So that might have been the inspiration, like behind like starting family home evening
Yeah.
to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Can you remember your guys' childhood much? How you were raised?
Yeah.
Is there anything looking back on your childhood that you're like, I'm not going to do that with my kids?
It doesn't even have to be religion based.
No.
Just
I think for me, so we'd wake up at 6, study till 6:30, and then we would practice an instrument. So like I played the cello from the age of 4 till 16 or 18 every morning. And not that I don't want to do that as a parent, I just don't think I have the energy. Like credit to my mother for like doing that with 6 children.
whoa.
For me, I just don't. I don't know if I have the energy and capability or patience to do that for my kids. But I appreciate that my mother did that.
Oh, you do? Like, you don't feel like you were forced into doing that?
Oh, I was definitely forced. But I don't,
But, like,
But looking back, he appreciates it.
yeah, it doesn't sound like, you don't resent it. Or
no, there's no resentment. And it was I'm sure at the time there might have been days where I resented it, but I appreciate that I have an appreciation for the arts, and that I have an understanding of music and how it works,
Right.
and I can go on now and read music, and even though I haven't played the cello in probably 15 years, I could pick it up and be able to play in a week.
Right.
So like, I appreciate having that talent in my life and the effort that my mom put into giving that to me.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of dedication on her part.
Yeah.
It really is. I feel like that with my parents in swimming. Like from the age of like 5, I was a swimmer.
Yeah.
And I went to swimming every morning at 5 o'clock, and they had to take me. So
Wow.
now I understand why. Like if I didn't want to get up, they were like, "You're getting up." You know, they would make me get up, because it's like they have a huge investment in it too.
Yeah.
And I have no resentment from that either.
What number of 6 were you?
I'm 5.
You're number 5,
Five,
which is
6.
why you got the cello.
Yeah.
Piano goes here, guitar goes here. Da, da, da. What do we have left? Cello. Ah, shit. He's got the cello. Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right.
No, we had
They all have strings.
yeah, we had
Oh, really?
there was so my eldest
Technically,
was
piano's a string instrument.
I guess it is.
so
Percussion
they didn't do
string
piano
instrument.
for anyone. None of us got the piano.
Oh, well,
Weird.
piano's a big instrument to have in house.
They have one. They have 2 pianos, and his
That
mom's the
wasn't-
piano teacher.
Okay.
So we had
So
Maybe that's why.
it was violin, then harp,
Oh,
which is
whoa.
like talk about the cello being obnoxious
they
to carry
perform-
around.
they, like,
the harp is like
we're professional. They performed and took their instruments all over to perform for weddings and stuff.
Like as a family.
Yeah, they
so,
had like
so not as
groups.
not all
There was 3 kids in each like group.
yeah.
Of
So
performers.
Like
group
the
A,
oldest
they
and-
would go when they were of age, and then when I was like 8, my mom would basically go around and pimp us out at weddings,
That's amazing.
and I would be making money playing the cello at weddings. It was a great little business for me.
That's
Fantastic.
I would wear a tuxedo. Little
She had a
kid.
plan.
Yeah.
So she also had an investment.
Yeah,
I'm sure she took like 20% or something from that. Like,
How much we make, Mom? $5. We played for 8 hours.
And a Big Mac. Sweet. Getting a chocolate shake.
So what about you? Is there anything? 'Cause it sounded like you were on the cusp of thinking of
I
something.
can't think of anything.
What about? Is there anything in your childhood that you know you really want to do with your kids? Something that struck you as like, okay, my parents did this for me. I definitely want to do that for my kids.
What I loved is like my house was like the go-to house for all of our friends and everybody. Like the whole neighborhood was at our house all the time. Our fridge was stocked with food, so people could just come and play, and it was like open door. So I want to have that. Like, and we had an amazing backyard with tons of like playground equipment and a huge
Yes.
yard. And so that's the one thing that I want. Is like all the kids to come play at our house,
So-
just be at our house and hang out.
What steps do you think you could do to make that happen?
Man, we need to get a house.
Step 1, get a house. Okay.
but you live in Santa Cruz. So.
Which sucks for house getting.
Yeah.
But like in terms of cultivating that relationship with your kid, like is there anything that you? Because I know like different families have different relationships with their kids and how they treat them and whatever it may be. But what was it that your parents did that you feel like opened that up? Were they just like whatever you want? Did they say it out loud like, hey, you can bring the kids over, da da da, or was it just happen naturally?
I think from when we were little, they would just be like, let's invite friends over. So just kind of
Gotcha.
just started. We
Right.
just had friends over from a young age. And like our cousins lived in our basement, our aunt and uncle, their family. So they were always at our house. So it just kind of was like, became a gathering place. We were comfortable with that, I guess.
Right.
That's
So-
cool.
I like that.
So do you guys miss Utah? Like how long have you been in Santa Cruz for?
8 years?
Yeah, we moved here at the end of 2010.
Okay. That's
So-
right. It was like similar timing to us. I think we came like just over a year later than you guys. Well,
Yeah.
You've always been here, but like us together.
Yeah.
Hoorah!
Snagged her out of New Zealand.
Born and raised.
Like do you feel like this is home now, or do you feel like when you go back to your family in Utah, that's home?
No. Well, they both kind of are, I guess.
Right.
It's like 2 homes. Because all of my family's still in Utah. And then
My
Heber's
parents are there, so it's like a home away from home there. But it's definitely when we're there. If I'm there for longer than a week, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get back to
Right.
home.
Okay. Cool.
So you think you can stay here for a bit?
At least for a while.
Yeah.
We don't have any plans to move, except that if we could find a house somewhere, that'd be great.
Let's hope the market takes a dip.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely like I think it's obscene here.
I have a question. So are you guys not allowed to drink coffee or caffeine?
Coffee is like, well, the scripture says hot drinks. So in the Doctrine and Covenants, it says hot drinks, but that's later been interpreted as coffee and tea.
Gotcha.
So not caffeine. So I know like Mitt Romney ran for president and was a very public figure in the news media for years. And like he kind of forced the the church's hand when he said, hey, you guys haven't said anything about Coke. And I'm drinking a lot of Diet Coke to keep me awake on these tours I'm having to do. And they kind of gave him the green light. So there's not like an anti-caffeine thing. Really, I think the bigger picture is, like the meaning behind the scripture is to not have any addictions and to not have to rely on any stimulants. So they haven't clarified caffeine.
Which would then kick the Diet Coke out of the situation.
Exactly. So if you have to rely on it, that's the problem.
Right.
And so,
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're obviously not going to say Diet Coke because it wasn't in a time that Diet Coke existed.
Exactly.
I know, but I just wanted to clarify
it's
that.
1800s, so a lot of the language has changed, and I think if they redid that scripture now, it would be a very different scripture and a little bit more precise and probably helpful for the time.
Right.
Like it's kind of a vague scripture.
Would still drink alcohol and
at the time, like in the 1800s when it initially came out, there were LDS people that drank and they had wine when they were crossing the country, and they probably had coffee at the time. But it wasn't until like the 1900s and 1940s where they started to actually like clear all that up out of the church. So now, like, I've never had an ounce of alcohol in my life. I think I've had maybe a sip of coffee or chai tea once.
You tasted Marston's, remember?
I thought
you were like, gross.
we were in Iceland and I ordered a hot chocolate and a coffee, and
you took the wrong one.
I took the wrong one. I was like, man, they must really suck at hot chocolate in Iceland.
That's awesome.
He was like, man, this is really sweet. Oh, I've got your hot chocolate. I was like,
That's awesome.
That's funny. So it's just people like interpret it differently, how they would like to interpret it, really.
Yeah, I mean, everyone.
There's an obvious way to
with the
interpret
caffeine thing, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like your challenges.
It's like my challenges. Interpret them how I need to.
Yes.
So with your boys, what stage are they at right now? What's going on with your 4-year-old in terms of like what's the hardest thing right now with him?
The hardest thing with him.
What's the easy? What's you can just say what's going on with him right now.
So he loves art. We're all about art right now. So
Nice.
he loves doing art projects, and he's wanting to learn letters and draw pictures all day long.
Nice.
Which I like because I like to sit and draw pictures with him.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite phase ever.
Yes.
Just sit and draw or do Play-Doh, like projects. He's all into like creating stuff.
Fantastic.
It's my favorite phase ever.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you basically just keep doing projects with him.
Yes.
What does
we
the
do
other
art
one do
projects.
while you try to do projects?
So Finn likes doing the projects too. He gets up and we draw. Well, Maverick likes doing his own pictures, and Finn wants me to draw pictures for him. So I'm drawing T-Rexes and whatever.
That's
And
fantastic.
Maverick's making his own pictures. So
My
we have
T-Rexes
work
look like dogs.
Yeah, the T-Rexes.
I've had quite a lot of practice. Mine are getting better. But
Fantastic.
T-Rexes are tricky.
Well, the little tiny arms and the big head gets you. It's
Yeah,
just
dimensions.
It's just rough. And then is there anything like you do in particular to get him onto a new style, or you just listen to what he says? You're like, hey, do you want to draw? And he says, yeah. Or you want to do blah blah? Yeah. Like,
I think he gets interested if you start doing something and he's like,
what's that?
oh, what is that?
Yeah, so like it's like what I'm in the mood for. I want to draw today, or I want to do Play-Doh or sand. And like I know a lot of people just like give their kids those activities like Play-Doh and stuff, but I really like doing those with them. So we sit at the table and we do
That's
our
great.
projects together. It's like my favorite time of the day.
That's
Just do
so great.
Play-Doh and
So good.
sand and projects and stuff. Or we like making things. Like the other day, they wanted to throw Heber a birthday party, and they wanted to make him a piñata that was the Death Star. So that was our day. We made
It's
a
gonna make me
Death
cry
Star
a little
piñata.
right here.
It was awesome.
That was our project. A
You
Death
made
Star
one?
piñata, yeah. And then we like painted it. We got
Fantastic.
a lantern and covered
Yeah,
it with
a picture
tape
of it?
and painted
That's
it.
really cool.
That's amazing.
So we like doing projects where we make things. And Maverick will get projects in his head. Like one day he's like,
Wow.
That's so cool.
What did you put inside it?
candy. We went and got candy from the store.
Nice.
But yeah, Maverick will get in his head. He'll be like, I need to make a Wall-E, like from the movie Wall-E.
Yeah.
Like, weird things. And so we're like, okay, let's figure out how to
That's
make.
great.
He's
That's-
he's like really creative.
That's awesome.
Do
Well,
you,
it also benefits from you because, like, I come home and there's literally 2 Wallies built out of cardboard with, like, certain boxes that she has found and, like, the right dimensions for the wheels and stuff. And, like,
You should
it looks
start
like
a
a cardboard
class.
Wally. It's awesome.
You could start like a kids craft
Come over
class.
for kids craft night. That would be fun.
No, I'm
actually.
serious
You're
because do you know how many parents that do not like to sit and do crafts with their kids?
Doing them.
Like they don't, but they want their kids to do that. And you know, the kids that don't go to school, like the homeschoolers and stuff,
I
like
should do that. That's a good idea.
yeah, you would.
Because then I'm having the kids at my house like I like to have.
Yeah.
Wanted to be
All
an
your
open
kids at the
place
house.
for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you just charge for crafts plus an extra $10, and then
Yeah.
you're good to go. You start
Yeah.
making that dollar, and then it becomes the craft house.
That's actually a really good idea. I've never even thought of that.
Do it.
I have a question about like the siblings. So they're pretty close in age. They're like 2 years exactly, or they're like roughly
21
under,
months.
yeah.
Okay. Do they have a good relationship? Do they fight? Do they love each other? You know, like what's that
Of
dynamic?
course they fight. Oh.
Okay.
Fight.
They
no,
fight,
but
but they've gotten
they
better.
play really, really good. Like, they like to play toys together and do their little scenes with it. They play with like a dollhouse with their dinosaurs. Which is
Dinosaur
super
dollhouse.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
That's
one are you
great.
using in Dinosaurs? Did they just pick up dinosaurs?
They kind of just picked it up on their own.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like I don't know where dinosaurs specifically came from.
I love it. I love seeing them when they get into something and then they just
yeah.
like
Yeah, for a
Dinosaurs.
while, and they still are a little bit. It was dragons for like that was like a year.
Right.
Solid How to Train
arrows
Your
into
Dragon era.
dragons.
Yeah.
And now it's moved over
Dinosaurs
to
and dragons. All our toys are dinosaurs and dragons.
Wow. Cool. Ours are Legos, as you can see.
I love Legos.
They're
So
everywhere.
Oaks will sit and build like that
Like that
dragon over
dragon.
there, or all of the stuff you're seeing on there. We didn't help him with any of that.
Wow.
He sits down and he
He
builds
just built
those
all
whole
of it
things.
himself.
Like
Yeah.
Wow.
we'll like not a single
He'll
piece
wake
will I
up,
put
we'll
on.
hear him, he'll wake up in the morning, like I'll be up there working and he'll get out come out of the room and he gets his little light because it's still dark, you know, downstairs, and he's like, Mum, I turned my night light on so I wouldn't wake everyone up. And he sits there and does his Lego, like by himself.
Does he have like
awesome.
a Lego table?
Not really. He kind of has a table, but he likes to work on the floor or...
Gotcha. Because I like want to get my kids into Legos. I know Maverick really likes them. And I was like, should I do a table? I don't know. And then they're so expensive, like the kids.
Yeah, I know.
You get like
That's the thing.
to build like one tiny thing.
Well,
So
we just
I
did-
want lots of Legos.
Well,
This
we
was
did-
his birthday gifts.
We started out with garage sale Legos, so it was like my dad
Just putting them together,
does
yeah.
garage sale, so he'll just like go and get like this giant box of crap Legos that's just no sets,
Just
and
pieces, right?
just
Yeah,
pieces,
yeah.
and then they just build those, and we make ships, and we do all that stuff.
That's
and
what I feel like my kids need
Yeah.
right now. Because they
Yes.
just like would ruin that stuff. Like the
Oh, yeah.
stuff that you're supposed to make into.
Right, and
specific things.
it's hard, like especially you might have more patience because you're into that stuff. But do you remember when we first started with Oaks?
I was pretty good at it.
You are much more patient than I am.
I was like,
But it's
wait a
because-
second.
But
Yeah,
like,
whoa.
no, but I would let him do it. I would let him try and do it. Kind of like how
Right.
I'm trying to let Arrow do it, and it's like you're watching paint dry because he's like, I'm like, no, that's the wrong one. That one. This one. No, that one. The one like that I'm actually touching. The one I'm touching. Oh, this one. The yellow one. No, the red. Oh my god, I can't.
Taz has a different level of patience with things like that. She's very good at some things.
Just some though.
Other,
Just some.
not so much.
Hang on, I built that whole Ron Weasley. Thank you.
Those ones are so cute.
Yeah, I did
Oh
those.
wait, you have the whole castle.
Uh huh.
See, I want to get those things, but then I'm worried I'll be like, no, I'm gonna build this. I'm
Oh,
like,
well, that's the thing.
this isn't
Then
for you.
Then you're gonna super glue it. So
Yeah, exactly.
you're gonna be the bad guy from the
Craggle.
Lego movie. Yeah.
Yes, I'm worried I would do that for sure.
More business.
So,
What's kind of cool right now is he'll build them all up and he loves having them there, and then within like 2 days he'll slowly cannibalize one into the other.
He's actually made a really cool ship behind you on that.
oh yeah.
He's made that from another one.
Well, so
he's
it's half
cannibalized.
Star Wars, half Black Panther.
Yeah.
So like it
Nice.
and so he's
Gumbo.
yeah.
All right. Well, should we ask the last question?
Yeah, sure.
Here you go.
So if you go back right before you guys are about to have your first, and tell yourself one thing, what would you tell yourself? It's like you're about to have Maverick.
Oh man.
Like when you were pregnant with him.
What would you say?
It's gonna seem like really hard to have one kid, but it's actually easy. You can do most of the same things you did before. Like I totally upended my life and changed everything.
Before you had the kid?
No, after having Maverick.
Like when you had him.
And then once I had Finley, I was like, wait, Maverick was so easy, and I could have still done like
Right.
so many of the same things.
Right.
I didn't have to change everything,
Right.
but I totally did.
Do you feel like people just have to go through that? Because I feel like
Yeah, I think you
everyone
have
goes
to.
through that.
And I don't think you can tell yourself otherwise. Like, I don't think you cannot go through it.
Right.
Because it's... But I just wish that I could have been
I
like,
know.
keep doing things the same way, you'll be fine. Like,
Totally. Because when you have the one kid, like when one's like with, dad or whatever, you're like, this is so easy,
Yeah.
having one kid. Like,
seriously!
What were we thinking?
And it seems like the
Like-
hardest thing ever
I
when
know.
you're in it.
Totally. And you see
you
your
th-
friends with the one kid and you're like, and you can see that they're not struggling, like, but they're having the same,
Struggling
And
is a
you're like,
fine
this
word
is
to
so,
use.
it's so easy. Go do all the fun
Yeah.
stuff. Go travel
Yeah,
and do stuff. It's
totally.
easy. It's not.
Yeah, it's a good one actually.
Flights are cheap.
Yeah.
They fly free.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think it's like more of a psychological hurdle, the fact that you go from having to take care of just yourself, like in like you have a spouse but you really don't have to take care of them, they're always going to be there,
adults.
to having something that will die if you don't take care of it, you know, like
I think so, and they're so like tiny and fragile that it's like you
So
have
much
all this
responsibility.
pressure,
so much
like, and you don't know what you're doing at all. Like,
at all.
At all.
I think there has to be a psychological change. Like you have to
have
go
to
through that
go
of like,
through it.
okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna do all these things and completely compartmentalize my life, and it all focuses around you, and I can't do anything else. No, leave me alone.
But I do think it's good advice because I do see, like, for example, like, you know, like Law and Rusty, I think they do a great job with Evie. They pretty much do
the same life they have.
they've made a point of trying to keep their lives very similar to how they or what they want to do. You know, they take her camping. They do everything with her, not because they have a kid. You know, and I think that's because they have been around us a lot, and so they're like, yeah, it's possible. It's possible to do that.
yeah.
So I think it's good advice.
I mean, you did that. You were saying that you wanted to do the exact same. Like, you don't want to just stop watching movies and stop doing these things. Like, you're just like, no, you're gonna fit in my life.
Yeah, but him, that's him. Like, he's better that way. Like, it was like convincing me to come to the movie.
Right.
Like, because
Right.
I was.
No, I
it was
get
harder
you.
for me.
Yeah,
I get that.
I was like that too. What about you, Heber? What would you tell yourself?
I don't know. When I became a parent, it was like I was kind of nervous until I realized like there's a lot of stupid people out there that have kids and they're fine.
I have to figure out like that, like every day. Like, see somebody, they raise their kids okay.
Yeah,
So that was-
I'm doing okay.
And that was kind of like a turning point. Was like I feel like I'm more capable than a lot of people who have kids, so I think I'm gonna be all right.
That's really good.
So I don't know that I have anything that I would change other than probably being even more forceful and pushing Jenna to do. Like, I wish we had traveled more with Maverick when he was really little. Like, I have a cool job that allows me to travel, and I probably could have taken them on more trips and explored the world a little bit more with Maverick. Cheaper than we could now.
Oh man, I know.
We're about to have a third, homie.
Yeah.
Like, and
We're gonna try travel before he's.
Have you guys seen the
I know.
bucket list
You have a
family?
couple
yeah,
years.
yeah.
They're awesome, dude.
They're great.
They traveled the world for 2 years and had a kid on the way.
Now they, however,
Yeah,
get
they
it all
just-
paid for.
Yeah.
So it's a little
And
different, but
And he sold a huge app before starting too. Like they had a huge.
But they didn't touch any of that money, remember?
I haven't followed them. That
Oh,
much. I
so
only started
basically,
recently.
their thing was he sold his company, but he said we're not going to touch any of this money.
That was the goal, to just sell their stuff.
Yeah.
Sell their stuff and use
travel
just
on
that.
Yeah, so they sold all their stuff and traveled, and they were like, when this money runs out of all our stuff that we sold, then we'll go back and like
But
restart
they
our
got
lives.
picked up before they'd spent all that money.
Right. They got picked up by like travel companies and all these other stuff, so now they
Hotels
travel all
and-
for free.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lovely. You could do that so easily.
I know,
Your
that's
editing
what I
skills
feel.
are so good.
I know, and
Like,
they
Oh
just
my
got
gosh,
back
your
to
videos
Hawaii.
are- just so you
what?
know.
Well, they have what I was like. I could probably do this. What they have that we don't is a cute girl. Like they have a great. They have a perfect family for that, where they have like
They do. They're all very
multicultural.
good-looking,
They're very
yes.
beautiful, and they have
Yes.
boy girl. Boy,
Here's what we'll
right?
do.
But
We'll travel
videos
together.
are
Yeah.
so
It'll
cute.
be two couples.
Yep.
Hey, we need
That's a
some,
new
some
thing,
No,
actually.
it's a new
that's
thing.
a
It'll be
new
two
thing.
couples, one who's Mormon, one who's not.
Guys, no, that would be like
Genuinely.
people would be crazy. for
Like
this.
I have a small following, but we
Yeah.
can get that bigger.
I
We've
think
got
Heber's
all
is
our
bigger than yours actually.
way bigger. But but his skills in video editing, we could easily make this happen.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, thank you guys for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having us.
having
No,
us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for listening to the show, and if you wouldn't mind heading on over to iTunes, giving us a rating, and also writing maybe a little review, telling people about the show, as well as checking out our sponsors, Perkia Rings, as well as Cat and Cloud Coffee. That's Perkia, Pyrkia. Use the code TRIBELIFE for a little discount. And if you want to go to Cat and Cloud Coffee, that's CATANDCLOUD, so Cat and Cloud Coffee, and put that in the old Google machine, pull it up, and choose anything in their store. Use code BARBERSHOP, and you can get 10% off anything in the store. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Or night, wherever you're at right now. Or morning, whatever it may be.